Hello, welcome back to Hunter Tune. Today we are going to be working on the Miata again and showing you some of the issues that I've been dealing with over the last day or so. We've been putting the CX Racing turbo kit onto the car, and everything for the most part has been going okay, other than some issues that we had come up. But I'm going to kind of spoil this and tell you that pretty much everything is installed. And I'm going to go over some things that I've been having issues with, or what I did have issues with, just to help save some time for you guys if you guys are also doing a Miata project with a lot of these eBay parts. So under the hood here, everything bolted on fairly well. The radiator from eBay went right in, no issues at all with it. I got these G Plus performance hoses from eBay. They were pretty cheap. Those went on, no issues. Everything there went pretty well. I mean, this G Plus kit came with like all the little lines for the idle control valve and just a lot of stuff. So the only thing with the actual turbo kit that I did have issues with is the downpipe here. We actually had to re-weld, and I welded the flange that came with the turbo onto the downpipe that they supplied with the kit. So I did that, and then we also had an issue with this turbo manifold. It is a tubular style turbo manifold, and it wraps around and comes back up, so it's like a top mount style. And we did have an issue with the heater hose line that actually bolts to the manifold here. So the manifold bolt directly right here is actually a bracket as well for this heater core line. So underneath the exhaust manifold, there's actually a heater core line that taps into the lower radiator hose down here. So there's like a little tube, kind of like a water pipe on a Honda on the back of the block. It's kind of a similar setup where it has a tube that runs across and then runs up to the heater core here. So that line, or that metal pipe, we actually had to heat up and bend it out of the way so this manifold would clear. So we had to do that, which wasn't too big of a deal. And when we went to go put the turbo kit back on, most of the stuff did just kind of bolt up. You may notice that I'm running a different oil line, because the oil line that comes with these eBay turbo kits is, well, let's just say they're garbage, and they are not a swivel end. So the one end of the, I should say that this one is actually one of the nicer ones, because it's dash 4 on both sides, and it does have a swivel end on both sides. So you can, you could use these with no issues normally. Actually, no, this one does not swivel. I thought this did. I actually got a 4AN line to replace this eBay one, because these eBay ones are junk. And you can see here that the line actually kinked when we went to tighten it down onto the turbo, because this end here is not a swivel. So if this end was a swivel end, which it is not, it's stuck in place, you cannot do anything with it. So when you tighten this into the block portion, it has no give. So when you tighten this end of it, it has nowhere to give, so it just kinks the line if you tighten it. So that's annoying with that. To alleviate that issue, you could just pick up a 4AN line with swivels on both sides, like this one here. This one's from Aeroquip, and they make a lot better quality hoses. So that was one of the issues. The other issue that I did have with this kit is it came with one of these fittings to go from the Mazda oil pressure spot to get your turbo feed from, which the threads in the block are an M10 by 150. So it came with an adapter to go from M10 to 150 to 4AN. And it came with a little, actually it did not come with a crush washer or any really way to seal it. So I just put, a dab of thread tape or whatever, or RTV I usually use. I just put that along the threads here, and I went to tighten it down, and I put like a 1/4 inch ratchet with like my fingers, and I could hear the fitting like popping and cracking as I was tightening it into the block, because these Mazda Miatas actually have a cast iron block, and these fittings that they give you are aluminum, and very cheap aluminum. So when I went to go tighten it in a block, I heard it pop and crack, and I'm like, well, what the hell? So I went to go back it back out to look at it, and the fitting just broke off in the block. So I had to extract it with just one of these, it's like a reverse drill bit here from O'Reilly's, and I got the fitting out. So that day was kind of just like a shit show because we had just got the transmission in and we wanted to finish up the turbo kit, and it was just kind of a long day. So that was a shitty part of this build. So I said, the hell with it. I went to a local hot rod shop, and the guy actually stocks 3AN brake line, and he'll build you a hose to work with, you know, whatever you need. So I ended up getting a 3AN hose instead of the 4AN, because if you guys do not know, journal bearing turbos, for the most part, on any engine that makes above like 50 psi oil pressure, if you run a 4AN line to the turbo, it will overpressurize the turbo and blow the seals. And they try to alleviate that with these eBay turbo kits with those stupid restrictor plates that bolt onto the top of the turbo. I'm trying to find it right now to show you the example. So this feed plate, you can see here, you can barely see the hole. It's so small. So this restrictor plate goes from 4AN, which is the hose end here, and it necks it down to nothing. And I'm telling you guys, like, I can't even feed my welding wire through this. So it's definitely too small of a hole for a journal bearing turbo. And I think that's the majority of the reason why these eBay turbos fail, is because they're either over oiled from just running a straight 4AN line, or a lot of guys will drill these out to like 1/8 inch or whatever. And I feel like it's still too much pressure because you have that 4AN line, which is a lot bigger diameter, and it gets all that pressure and volume through the 4AN line. And then when it gets to this, it just directs it in a smaller hole. Like, it's not, I just don't think it's the right way to oil these turbos, especially the cheap ones, because I feel like these really cheap eBay turbos have kind of a fine line of over-oiled or under-oiled. And with the VS Racing stuff, we only run 3AN oil lines to the turbos, and it works flawless. We've never had any turbos from HunterTune.com ever fail on our personal cars, and we always use the 3AN lines to go to the feed of the turbo on journal bearing turbos. The ball bearing turbos require a similar size restrictor, but still not this small. This is still too small. I'll show you a restrictor that is actually proper for a ball bearing turbo, in my opinion. And in my opinion, that works and doesn't actually fail. So I got these two turbos here. These are actually for my black Mustang. These are the mirror image 6262s that are now up on HunterTune.com. You can buy them in a single turbo configuration or twin turbo mirror image configuration as well. So if you want one turbo to face one way and one turbo to face the other way, they're symmetrical under the hood and they just look awesome. So the turbos that are ball bearing, they usually come with a fitting, something like this, that goes from 4AN down to, you know, say that with this size, whatever, it's like 60 thousandths or something. I don't exactly know. And we give you two fittings with it. So you can pick the smaller of the two or the bigger of the two. I usually just run the bigger one, you know, whatever. And this hole, it may not seem like it, but it's actually about twice the size of that, that feed plate they give you with a journal bearing turbo. So, it's just, it doesn't make sense to me, and I feel like it's a killer of a lot of these eBay turbos, because I mean, the last car we just had in here the other day failed with like 2 dyno pulls on it, and it had that same style restrictor plate on it. And it wasn't burning oil, it just sounded like it wasn't lubricated very well. And I'll tell you what, guys, I've ran this car for about 10 minutes just idling, and when I got the turbo out of the box, it definitely had a little bit of shaft play and, you know, just kind of normal stuff on a brand new turbo. But this thing is a journal bearing cast, super cheap turbo, and it's spinning great. Like, it spins very nice, very smooth. And I think a lot of it is because I'm running that 3AN line into the turbo there. So if you have the option to run a 3AN directly into the turbo, I would definitely do that, because the size, the internal diameter of a 3AN line, I feel is the best option that you can get for a lot of these, turbos. Journal bearing. So on the other end of the feed line, I did have that issue, like I said, and it broke off in the block. I extracted it, and I just got pissed off because I was like, well, I'm not waiting a week or whatever it is for the M10 by 150 to 3AN adapter piece, because the local guy didn't have anything, but he had an 1/8 inch pipe thread to 3AN, which is the same as what the turbo uses here. So I just said, screw it, give me 2 1/8 inch pipe thread to 3AN, and I tapped the block because M10 and 1/8 inch pipe thread are, I think the guy measured it and he said they're about 10 thousandths difference in overall like diameter. So I took a 1/8 inch pipe tap and I just tapped the block to 1/8 inch pipe and then ran the line, and it's been amazing. So that's cool. We did run a big 10AN line off of the turbo into the pan with a 1/2 inch MPT tap that into the oil pan down there. We did delete the power steering and the air conditioning, which whatever, here in Wisconsin we don't really need that stuff. What else did we do here? The intercooler piping kit was a little tricky because this car just is, just a little tricky to get stuff to fit. I did get a H-cast blow-off valve that we welded right off of the throttle body coupler here onto the pipe that goes down, and it's a tight fit, but she fit. And this is with the factory fans and a radiator. So I put that in there, and it just clears the alternator and the belt. Nothing's rubbing, nothing's hitting. Should be good to go there. And then the piping just comes down and around into the intercooler, which sits right in the bumper. So we did just make some brackets to kind of bolt everything up. I still have to weld a fitting on the end of this intercooler pipe to run the idle air control hose to, because this idle air control, if you just plug it off, it actually vents some of the air or sucks air in through behind the throttle body to idle the car. And if you just plug this off, you would have to set the throttle manually with this, and you wouldn't have any like adjustability with your idle control. So I'm gonna try to still use this, but if you don't plug it off, it will be a boost leak. So you have to at least run it back into the intercooler pipe down here in order for the idle air control to still function properly and not have any boost leaks. Like I said, that's kind of the whole thing. I mean, it's really not rocket science to put this stuff together. The only other gripe that I did have is the wastegate clearance. Off of here, it was definitely tight, but the Miata actually had this hose. I forgot where we got it from, maybe one of the old coolant lines or something like that, and we just ran it because it had a 90 like right off of the wastegate here, and we can utilize that without bending or kinking the line. So we used a hose that actually came off of the car. It might have been for evap or something, the little canister that sits over here. I think we took that line and we just looped it back around to the turbo here so we can have our wastegate control. And then I just ran the blow-off valve off of one of these ports here on the intake, and then this one goes to my cruise control, which goes back, and it has a T back here, so I can run this to my ECU. I don't have the ECU installed yet, but you have to run a vacuum line into the car for the ECU and the map sensor that's built into the ECU. We also just looped the power steering rack, just looped it so no fluid leaks out, and we can keep whatever fluids in there. And like I said, everything else, it went pretty good with the car. Getting the bumper off was kind of annoying because it's just a lot of screws and a lot of bolts, but we managed. And yeah, now on to the good stuff. The real issues that we've been having are, I shouldn't say the real issues, but one of the issues that I've been having is I ordered a Clutch Max brand clutch and flywheel kit for the Miata, and I'm having some issues where the car is not disengaging the clutch. So we put the transmission back in, and we just hooked everything back up how it was, and with the old clutch it went into gear fine. I don't know, this car does seem like it has, I don't know if this is a factory clutch pedal, maybe this car was automatic at one point, but it is kind of it just doesn't seem factory because the clutch pedal sits like farther off to the left that I would feel is comfortable. So like you can see here, you have the gas pedal and the brake pedal are pretty close together, and then the clutch pedal is like offset and almost like at an angle. So I don't know, like I said, if this car was automatic at one point or if it was a stick. And if it was a stick, it doesn't really explain the way that the clutch pedal bracket is just kind of like chilling up there, and it looks like they tacked a couple spots or tacked and welded a couple spots to get all of it to fit. So I'm having an issue where the clutch is not disengaging, and I am not sure if it's a fault of the clutch itself, because I've actually been in this situation before with eBay clutches, and sometimes you can't get enough throw out of the throw-up bearing because the way they machine the pressure plates and shit just doesn't work. And I'm hoping that's not the case with this, and I'm hoping I can just rip to get more clutch pedal out of it in order to get it to disengage, because I have it with the rod and the little thing that goes on the clutch pedal. I had it all the way maxed out where there was just a thread or two threaded into this piece which goes onto the clutch pedal. And I had it to the point where I could almost get it in gear. I felt like if I had another, turn or two out of this guy for adjustment, I would be able to fully disengage the clutch and actually be able to set the car on the ground without the wheels continuing to spin. Because if I currently, with the clutch rod and everything set up in here with the eBay clutch, I would turn the car on and I would put it in gear and the tires would spin, and if I would hit the brakes with the clutch all the way to the floor, it would kill the car. It would snub it out because the clutch just wasn't disengaged, and it kept the car running and kept the wheels spinning. So in neutral, car's fine. As soon as you put it in gear, that's when the issues arise. So I am going to do some ghetto fabulous shit here just to test, and I'm actually putting a LS push rod from a 5.3, and I'm actually taking it and I extended the rod that goes into the clutch pedal and into the master cylinder. So I am extending this and I'm going to try it. Once this is extended, you can see my beautiful work here, just testing purposes and to see if I can get some more throw out of the clutch pedal, and hopefully it works out, and if it does, I'll let you know. Well guys, I know this video's probably been pretty boring, but I fixed it. And I don't look like an idiot for welding a LS push rod onto my clutch rod that goes into the master cylinder. So I did that, and I installed it into the car so I had more adjustment. And now when I push the clutch pedal in, the wheels disengage and I can actually put it in gear. So I'm very happy about that. Total fuck around trying to get it to work, but ended up making it work, and it was just a pain in the butt. So I do not recommend to anybody crawling under a Miata dash to work on the clutch pedal because, well, Miatas are already really small, and when you are crawling under there, it's just not fun. Especially when you're trying to thread a clutch rod into the little thing and get it all working, because yeah, this whole process has been just a pain in the back, because the way that they have the clutch pedal in this car, I can't get that little piece onto the pedal, because there's just no, like, the rod, I would have to like forcefully push the clutch in with my hand with just that little rod. I'd have to push it in and then get it onto the pedal and then let go for it to actually like get onto the pedal. So it was just a pain to do. And I don't even have the jam nut to tighten it in a certain spot on right now, because I couldn't fit it with the jam nut. Like, it's just so tight in there. I'll try to film it quick. I don't really want to crawl back under the car, but I will, just to show you. Why not? So that rod right there and the little piece that attaches onto the pedal, yeah, I can't like get it apart anymore because it's just not like the way the pedal is and stuff. It just doesn't work. Like, I don't know what's wrong. If this pedal system is just not meant for this car and they just kind of hacked it in here, I don't know. But I added to the hackery and it has LS power now, baby. It has an LS push rod extension on the clutch pedal. So now, like I said, it actually disengages. And like I said, it's just a pain in the... I can't like, with that thing all the way threaded in, it hits the pedal, so I can't like get the pin through the pedal. And with it all the way out, I can't push it up to where it needs to go because, yeah, it's just annoying. I did just think of something that might make this easier, is I could cut some of the threads off on the rod in order to be able to get it on a little better. I don't know if that would work. I don't think that would work. Anyways, got it working now, and I'll start the car for you guys quick. And I'll just tell you flat out, is when I had this car initially, it did not... The clutch pedal felt like absolute shit. Like, it just didn't feel like it was engaging all the way, disengaging all the way. It just didn't feel right. And now this feels proper. Like, it's definitely a lot heavier of a pedal now. And it seems like it's working. I don't know. Time will tell, I guess. Hopefully I don't have it too far where I can't get it to disengage all the way, but... And I'm probably gonna have to bypass the clutch switch because now with the pedal how it is, it doesn't really hit that sensor. Because like I said, this it's just like a messed up situation. But before, I'm getting a new shifter, but I'm just kind of setting this in here to chuck it in gear quick. So I can put it in third. There's third gear. Clutch pedal's in. And the tires are not spinning until I let the pedal out. There we go. And the pedal currently, with the way I have it adjusted right now, is about, like, that's where it grabs. And that's all the way out. So, I mean, it might be adjusted okay. I'm not sure. Car's currently still running on the stock ECU, and it does not have the airflow meter plugged in, the mass airflow. So I can't rev it up or anything. So I got to get my new ECU in and actually tune the thing. Yeah, like when I go to rev it up, it just dies. So I might try to just adjust this stuff a little bit more, and hopefully it all works out. I'm still waiting for my shifter, like I said. Once the shifter gets here, hopefully maybe tomorrow or the next day I can get out here and actually tune the thing a little bit to at least get it up and driving to feel how the clutch is. I'm really hoping that this clutch is going to work. I took a gamble. I've never tried one of these Clutch Max clutches. I've had XTD and stuff in the past and haven't had good luck, but I figured I'd try the Clutch Max one and see if it's any of a different story. Sometimes you get lucky and, you know, don't have to spend a ton of money. But obviously, if you're trying to do this on a budget, you got to do stuff like, fucking weld an LS push rod on your clutch pedal. So that's what I had to do. Yeah. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to see more Miata content, let me know. This car is definitely something fun to work on other than this bullshit. This is really the only gripe that I'm having with this whole car right now is the clutch pedal. But other than that, I'm really excited to drive this thing. Really excited to get it up and running and dyno it and see what kind of power we can make and just go have some fun. So thanks for watching the video. Have a great night and a better tomorrow. We will see you later.